Hi, my name is Rachel. I just wanted to give you guys my side of the story on what happened when I wore the shirt "All the Cool Girls Are Lesbians" to school, because it's kind of in, a national light now, and it's been on MSNBC, and I've been reading some comments on the stories and everything, and I just feel like, and I'm not even trying to really stick up for myself here. I'm like kind of trying to stand up for the LGBTQ community because there are things that that are being said that I feel like I really need to say something about, because if I don't, I don't know who else will. And this actually happened to me, this whole story is about me. So I just thought that I needed to make a video and tell you guys, what happened. And so I'm actually going to post a link to the letter that I sent to my mayor, the one they were talking about, so you guys can see, exactly what I said to my mayor to, I wasn't the one who submitted the story to my local paper. That was actually my mayor, and I'm very grateful that she did what she did. And, now it's out there, and, there's people that support me, and, obviously there's people that don't support me, and there's people, out there who are saying, I should go to hell and everything and whatnot. And there's actually a blog that said I'm an attention whore, and to address that, I am not looking for attention whatsoever. I really do not want attention. In my school, I am not popular, nor do I want to be. I am not looking for attention. That's not what I want from this. What I want from this is I want justice. Because, I'm someone who believes in justice. I'm someone who believes in standing up for what is right, for what you believe is right. And, everybody has their own definition of what is right and what is wrong. You can listen to everybody else's beliefs, because we all have the right to voice our own beliefs. So, you should listen to other people's beliefs, but at the end of the day, you have your own beliefs that you have to listen to and that you have to stand up for and you have to act on. And so that's what I'm doing here, is I'm acting on those beliefs. I think my biggest fear from this incident was the fact that, there's been so many teen suicides in this country, from incidents that were kind of similar to this one. And, I guess my biggest fear is that, say, an incoming freshman next year, say if they are gay, lesbian, bisexual, what have you, um, I am just worried that, say if they were me and this happened to them, that it's gonna cause them to regress from coming out. And, for the heterosexuals that are watching this, if you don't know what coming out is, it's kind of, you just tell people, your peers, your friends, your family, anyone in your life, who you really are. And that is what coming out is. And, it's really not an easy thing to do. I mean, I came out when I was 13, and it wasn't easy at all. My friends accepted it. I still have family who doesn't. That's just life. But I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. And, I'm not saying heterosexuals don't understand it. That's not what I'm saying. Um, and it's a little bit off topic as to what I was talking about. But, through this whole thing, I don't want people to say, my principal is a bad guy or anything, because I honestly believe that I civilly, stated my beliefs and stuff, and I don't want my principal or the vice principal or any staff members at my school to be seen in a horrible light, because even though I wrote a letter to my mayor and acted on what I believed in, that was against what they had thought was right. That does not mean that, I do not respect them, and I just want the public to respect them, because that's exactly what I'm doing. On the matter of exactly what the shirt said, it said, "All the cool girls are lesbians." It is actually not a literal statement, and I know it can be perceived that way by some people, as it has, but it's not taken that way. Like, I do not believe that, I am superior to anyone else. I am not for supremacy in any way, shape, or form, over race, over sexual orientation, over anything. I don't believe that I'm superior to anyone or anything. Um, I don't believe in imposing my values on anyone else. I was just being myself. And, the fact that I was kind of stopped from being myself, so to speak, I felt that I had been wronged. And so that's why I did something about it. And another thing that I wanted to state is that, like I said, I was reading some of the comments. And like I said, I understand that there's people that, don't agree with me or don't agree with homosexuality. And, that's fine. Because, like I said, we all have our own views. But there was something that was said about homosexuality and that everybody was thinking of, teen girls having sex when they were reading the story. And that is just absolutely disgusting because, there's this whole thing about, homosexuals or like sex fiends or that is completely false. Okay, we are just like heterosexuals, you know, obviously, we have romantic relationships and whatnot, but that does not mean that the entire relationship is based off of sex. In fact, me personally, my relationships are most about emotions. I guess the video is turning out to be, kind of me addressing what the public is saying, and actually, that is what it is because I actually find this great opportunity to actually, educate some people who may not know about this stuff or who may not exactly understand it. And like I said, I am not imposing my values on you. I am not telling you that you have to understand it. I'm just trying, to explain this to some people who don't necessarily understand it. I find this the perfect opportunity. So, like I said, like I keep saying, there have been comments, and, some people are saying that, I'm just a lesbian for attention or whatnot. Honestly, if I wanted to date a guy, I would go out and date a boy. I do not want to date a guy whatsoever. And that's why I don't. That's why I'm a lesbian. That's why. That's just who I am. I don't do it for attention. I like girls, and that's, my life. That's my personal thing, it's I don't see homosexuality as a choice. People will disagree with me. I know that, but I don't think it's a choice. I believe that we were born this way, and I can't be straight if I wanted to. I don't think you can be counseled for homosexuality. I don't believe that it's a mental issue. It's just who you are, and that's really what it is.